Well, welcome back, everybody. Happy Monday. I think this week we're going to try to get some work done on this thing. Now, this was one of my first videos I ever put up on the YouTube. You guys watch me struggle and get these tri-ribs installed. So the 416H, I'll give you a little backstory on this. I picked this up off an older gentleman. He was using it as his everyday mower, and he had to move and couldn't take it with him. So just being honest with you guys, I paid a whole whopping $300 for this tractor. Pretty much the way it sits is the way it was when I got it, besides the wheels or the tires, obviously. But there's some few things I need to get fixed on this. Mowing season is starting to come up here pretty quick, and I've been putting some stuff off on it just because I haven't wanted to do it. The biggest issue I need to get resolved, just because it's going to get a whole lot worse if I don't do something about it, is this hole in the deck. Very small compared to a lot of these decks. This tractor here, I believe, is a 94. So you figure being as old as it is, it's actually in pretty good shape, but I need to address that. It doesn't really affect the way it cuts. I mean, it still mows fine. It's just eventually it's going to keep getting worse and worse, and it's going to start getting into the support for the linkage on the back. So we're going to have to get the deck pulled off and get that fixed. These rollers, it's got a couple bad deck rollers I want to get changed out. While we got it apart, we might as well go ahead and sharpen the blades. And probably, if I got enough time, I'm going to go ahead and treat the deck too. Get some good thick paint on the underside, you know, trying to slow down some rust. Now, another issue, I'd already mentioned this in the video where we did the front wheels and tires. The throttle linkage, it's the rivets came loose and the throttle no longer stays wide open. So we're going to be taking that off and seeing about trying to repair that with a more permanent fix. The other issue, these nylon bushings down in here are completely shot, and there's a lot of play in the linkage rod. So we're going to be addressing that as well. And besides repairing the issues I've talked about, I'll probably just do a quick over on the mower, check all the fluids, check the air filter like I mentioned, just make sure everything's ready to go for the mowing season. We'll check the condition of the belts, stuff like that. Just give it a good bill of health before we park it to be used this summer. Yeah, guys, being honest with you, one of my least favorite things to do with any tractor is take the deck off. That's never a good experience. It seems like I never get to come off right. I can never get it to go back together right. But I will say that Wheelhorse, they did something right with this Attach-O-Matic. It's very simple to drop your deck, other attachments off these tractors. So I'll kind of show you how it works. I'm gonna try to get you guys in here to show you this linkage. I know this looks like a mess, but it's kind of simple if you break it down. This linkage here is your deck lift bar. This bar is actually what is controlled by the attachment lift. You know, this one's hydrostatic or hydraulic, but pull the cotter pin out, and that's loose. Well, that was fun. Look at that, it's like magic. We got the deck out. Now we can work on it. That works perfect. I'll tell you what, it's hard on a feller to pick one of these up by yourself. But anyway, we got it up here, working height. We're gonna go through and See, like these patches here, this is all work done by somebody else. See this one over here a little bit better now. I noticed too up here at the front, got a hole right there. But I think first I'm gonna go ahead and flip this over and we'll get the bottom side cleaned out and get as much of that grass and stuff out from underneath of it, less likely to catch it on fire. All right, done with the pressure washer. Cleaned it up pretty good. Some of that stuff I was having trouble getting off by hand, but you guys can see the rust a little bit better now. But I wanted to show you guys something, and this is why I've been preaching, making sure you keep your decks clean. Now I said decks, not the other word. Anyway, look how pitted this is. It's cast aluminum. You can just see how it just starts disintegrating over time. And look at this one over here. So this one's actually cracked and busted. Somebody's gone through and put some sheet metal screws in to hold it in place. But the bad thing is I don't have any good spindles right now, any good used ones. So I'll probably gonna stick with the plan. We'll go ahead and get the rest fixed, get some paint put on it. And I know that looks terrible, but it is actually very solid. So we'll just have to keep an eye on that, make a note. So we've got another project to do at a later date. So let's get started on the rust. All I was trying to do there, guys, was blow this back a little bit until I hit good metal. And surprisingly, this metal is actually still very solid. One little spot there, but so we're gonna go ahead and get this cut out. And I really don't know how it's gonna go trying to form this. I don't know. I'm not an expert fabricator by any means. So I don't know, see what we can come up with. Well, this is where I'm at now. You guys saw me cut this chunk out. Spent about the last 30 minutes shaping this piece of cardboard, getting it sized up. I think it's pretty close to where it needs to be. This is just a really complicated area. It's hard for you guys to see on camera, but we got one bin going this way. Right about here, we've got this bin going that way, and they meet up right here on this corner. And like I said, I'm not an expert at this, but the way I look at it, sheet metal is just cardboard. It isn't as flexible. So as long as I get, the right shape and I can manipulate this to fit without having to stretch it, I think we can do the same thing with some metal. So let's get this put on some sheet metal, cut it out, and start working it. That's what we ended up with. This is attempt number 1. We'll see if this is going to end up working. If not, I don't know, we'll cut it out and try again. Well, it's not my finest work, but I think it'll be fine. It's not perfect, guys, by any means. So you can see right here, that hole there. Found another rust hole, just trying to tack that together. So that's the way it goes when you're working on old stuff like this. You can't chase perfection, otherwise you'll drive yourself nuts. And this patch, in my opinion, will be just fine for this deck. And yeah, so we're gonna go over and see about fixing that other patch, and then we'll throw some paint on it. You guys have heard me talk about these different deck rollers. That's what I was doing, was changing these out. These are the aftermarket ones that you can buy new. And every one of them I've seen, they don't last. They don't seem to hold up as good as these solid rubber ones. So like I said, that deck that came with the B100, it actually had a bunch of good rollers on it. So took all those off and put them on this deck. This is what I'm gonna be using to paint the deck with. It's really nothing fancy. It's just what I got on the shelf, and it works pretty good. It dries with a nice gloss finish. So let's do a little time lapse and get this paint put on here. Remember, fellers, it's not the size of your tool, it's how you use it. Guys, looking at these blades, there's hardly any wear on these at all. So I'm not gonna get too crazy with the flap disc. I'm just gonna shine them up a little bit. And yeah, I'm not gonna take any meat off. So yeah. Also, if there's anybody wondering, that's the part number on the blades. This is for a 48-inch deck. Steins or Stens 350-124. Well, guys, I think that's going to do it for the deck. Got that nice shiny coat of paint on it. Got the freshly sharpened blades put back on. Got the big rust holes fixed. Yeah, that'll do for now. Let's move on to something else. Now, the next thing I want to address is this throttle linkage. I had mentioned in one of the videos that when this thing's running wide open, the engine vibration, it's just not tight enough to hold it. It'll eventually come back down to idle. So let's get this linkage popped up and popped off and see if there's something we can do about it. I'm gonna show you guys real quick. Only thing holding this, the way this works, there's just a rivet in there that keeps tension on that. And over time, that rivet's just gotten loose. So I think all we're gonna do is we're gonna drill that rivet out, and we'll put probably a 1/4x20 bolt and lock nut in there, lock washer maybe. Yeah, that's what we'll do. And that's why rivets suck sometimes. Well, it was a struggle, but I got it apart. These levers are all bent and chewed up. I'm just gonna go through real quick and try to straighten this up a little bit and knock some of the sharp edges off this. This is from years of using pliers and vice grips and what else to hold this thing together. So let me clean this stuff up and then we'll get it put back together. You know, it's funny, I literally just took this apart like 5 minutes ago and I already forgot how it went. So I had to go back and watch the footage to see how it actually looked before I took it apart. That's why you should always take pictures or take notes when y'all take something apart. So we had that bushing in there. Then the lever itself. Another bushing. And then that. And all I got here, guys, is just a new 1/4 inch bolt with a nylock. My supply of nuts and bolts is getting pretty low. This bolt's a little bit longer than it needs to be, but it's what I got, so. Of course, I got to put a new knob on this. Oh, look at that. Yeah, guys, last thing on the agenda, I got a couple of these new bushings. I think next time around, I don't know, I'm going to try to find some kind of aftermarket alternative because these are genuine Toro or Wheelhorse, whatever. These things were like $4 a piece, and there's really not much to them. But I've already got them, so we're going to go ahead and get these tossed in. There's just 2 in here I'm going to change out for now. Man, I think I was ever going to get that out of there. There's the new one. There we go. I'll tell you guys what, that was an absolute pain in the butt. Get them changed out. Not a whole lot of room to work with, and oh, that's just pain. I think moving forward, I don't know if I'd ever bother trying to change them again, but for now, you see the side-to-side movement is greatly reduced. So yeah. Guys, before we put the deck back on and call this an end of the video, I do want to go ahead and pull the air lid off, check the air filter, probably go ahead and blow it off. We'll check the oil. I've only put about 15 hours on this thing since I last serviced it, so I know we're not ready for an oil change yet. Oh yeah, there's some goodies in there. Oh yeah, let's get that cleaned. I just want to add real quick why it's important to run these pre-filters. How much better that air filter looks underneath. Pre-filter's definitely doing its work. I blew it off the best I could. Let's get it put back in. Right where it should be. Well, time for my least favorite part, and that's putting the deck back on. It's always a pain in the butt, it seems. Well, guys, that's going to do it for this one. We got a lot accomplished on this thing. We fixed a couple holes in the deck, replaced some rollers, fixed the linkage, checked all the fluids. As far as I'm concerned, this thing's ready to go for the mowing season this year. And just being honest with you, I'm ready for it. I'm tired of winter. I'm ready for some grass to start growing and tired of being cold. But again, I want to say, I know I mentioned in the last video that I'm just blown away by the amount of people watching this stuff. Everybody who's commented and liked and subbed the channel, that's awesome. And actually, I noticed the other night that over the weekend we broke 500 subs. So I know you hear everybody preach about it in all the videos. It's awesome. I mean, to get that many subs in just a few weeks, watching me do this stuff is great. If you aren't subscribed to the channel, just take a second to hit that like button, and I really appreciate it. But if not, like I said, like always, you guys leave me some feedback. Yeah, I'm gonna keep pumping some content out. I've got a few ideas for some projects here coming up here real soon. So you, like I said, like always, thanks for watching, guys, and keep watching.